Hello and welcome to the Busy Bays podcast, where we provide valuable insight and advice on the marketing and other business type questions that auto repair shops encounter as they work towards achieving their goals. Now here's our hosts, Martin Morgan and Becca Hackley. This is the Busy Bays podcast, a podcast that's all about being the ultimate marketing and business resource for auto repair shop owners. We've been hearing across the board from our customer service as well as our sales teams that social media is a hot topic amongst shop owners, especially now.
Yeah, that's true, Becca. And really, social media has been around for a while, but it seems like recently it's become a hot topic again. And I think part of that is related to the coronavirus, COVID-19 stuff, and people, potential customers, us as consumers, we've turned to social media, and I would say especially Facebook, for the hyper local news that we're trying to find, because we are trying to pay such close attention to what's happening, not just in our city or town or area, but as close as possible. If the grocery store that we typically go to down the street has employees who have tested positive for coronavirus, then we probably want to know that. We want to know what's happening with the local schools. We want to know what's happening with the local businesses, what restaurants are open, all of those things. And that's not something that any larger scale news outlet or any other type of thing can provide that's going to be, again, as hyper local as we want it. And part of what also happened is early on, probably early March or mid-March, Google My Business, which anybody who's listening knows that we're a huge fan of Google My Business and how important we think that is for repair shops. But they basically paused everything that they were doing. They stopped taking reviews or allowing reviews to be posted. They stopped, in a lot of ways, allowing businesses to post updates unless they were specifically related to coronavirus or COVID-19. So what happened is that we as consumers had to turn more and more to Facebook, because that was the place where businesses were able to update what was happening in their business. And we wanted to know. We want to know if we're thinking about picking up food or ordering food from someplace, we want to know if it's open. So we will go and check on Facebook. And the same is certainly true for auto repair shops. You want to check and see and understand and learn as much as possible. So Facebook really became at least one of the main go-tos for people in the middle of all of that uncertainty, and partly of what continues today.
Especially because with the GMB thing, like that being closed down, I never really knew if the hours were legit or not. Like I would look up somewhere, like you said, going like grabbing like takeout for like whatever, any type of food. Sometimes the GMB said like, oh, hours depending on COVID-19. And then I'd go on their Facebook and either they'd be completely open or closed. And it's like, oh, okay, how do you really know? So the Facebook was the place where I went personally, because people were either sharing photos or being like helpful in terms of this is what we're doing for safety precautions. But people really rely on what they find online. And so if they can't find it, it's a problem.
Yeah, it is. And you're definitely right about that experience that you had specifically, Becca, because it was hard to tell on those GMB profiles.
Yeah.
And it seemed like what they did is, unless you specifically replied to something they had about COVID-19 and then put your information on there, they basically didn't update the hours at all. And I think business owners had probably gone in there and tried to do something and seen that it wasn't making any difference. And so they just stopped doing it. And instead they did turn to Facebook, because they got instant results. They could post something and they'd automatically see it. And so, even though it has been around for a while, not everybody knows the kind of the do's and the don'ts when it comes to managing your Facebook profile or how to use it. And probably part of what happened too is that a fair number of people may have started a their Facebook profile a few years ago, or maybe more than that, and hadn't used it as much. And when it came to logging in, they weren't able to do it as much, or maybe they lost passwords. There's various issues that I think popped up that people weren't really expecting just because of the new utilization.
And by not having a Facebook page, I mean, that can be just as bad as having one that sits there that you haven't been able to log into or touch in the last few years, because it never gets updated. People aren't engaging with it, and it just sits there like an old stack of newspapers. And it's all right if you don't know what to post, but that's kind of where you need to venture out and learn a little bit about, okay, what goes into social media? What should I be posting as a shop? What do my customers want to see? And how can I most benefit the people who are on their news feed? And so this problem is actually quite common for a lot of our customers when we first started working with them. And so what we are able to do working with our customers is kind of learn about where they are at, if they need help logging in or if lost passwords, and getting that Facebook page back up and running.
Yeah, and that's obviously very, very valuable. And sometimes we tend to overcomplicate things. I mean, as humans, we overcomplicate things. And I would say, in part, think about the basics, when it comes to your posting, especially now. Are you open? What are your hours? What are your special services? And as you were referring to, Becca, pictures where you can take pictures of those specific things that you're doing, really to sanitize the shop. And I know that you had a couple ideas, additional ideas of what other things would be good to post.
Absolutely. So the big thing about when it comes to posting is, our biggest advice for you would be, it's called the 80-20 rule. And boy, do we live by this. So 80% would be the value-based content you're posting on Facebook, while the 20% is promotion. So Martin, in your own words, how come this is the best practice for us to use?
This is one of those things that's, well, not a rule. It's a good advice and a good thing to follow for probably any social media that you're on, with 20% being the max. And really the reason for that is, think about going through your normal day to day. How do you feel about that person? Or maybe it's some sort of vendor that's always hitting you, like trying to sell you all the time. And if somebody's just coming to you, every 5 minutes, are you ready to buy yet? 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 Exactly. You want to pull your hair out and just go crazy, because it's so irritating. And what you're doing, if all you're doing on social media is promoting your business, then you're that person on social media. And you definitely don't want to be that person. But if you spend 80% of your time providing really good value and information that's going to help somebody, then they're going to really pay attention to you, because they're thinking of you as a value provider. You're not that person who tried to sell me something every 5 minutes. You are now that shop that provided me good, valuable information. Or maybe you posted some things that got me really engaged, or that I thought was interesting. But you want to make sure that, again, you are not that person trying to sell somebody every 5 minutes.
You want to be the person that somebody looks forward to seeing your posts on Facebook. I have several of those businesses just in my head that come up, and a lot of it is because they're posting things that either help me. So to put this in relation for like the auto industry, it would be like car care tips, or possibly, let's do from a local standpoint, community events that are happening. If your shop is going to be participating in anything, share about it. I mean, let the people know what's happening in their town, and how you're going to be involved there too. Many things that I've also seen that are great on Facebook posts for auto shops are, any warning signs that your car gives you, these blinky lights that somebody like me driving down the highway, I'm like, oh snap, I don't know what this means, but luckily now I do, because you posted about it last week. Those are things that are going to jog back in people's memory, and they're going to remember that it's your shop who posted it. the more helpful posts that you can share, the more beneficial and valuable that your service and your business and your employees are to the people who are viewing your Facebook or coming into your shop.
That is absolutely true. And I love the one thing that you mentioned in there, Becca, about the community events. And that you can do that in two ways. Sometimes you might just be posting something about an event that's happening in the community, but even better when you have the opportunity to post community type events where you are actively participating, or maybe you're sponsoring, whatever it might be. And images are so important, that anything that you have that's a good image can be valuable, and you're trying to establish yourself as a connection with these people who are following you on Facebook, and you want to make that human connection. So when you can post human interest photos, especially with your team in there, with you, your team, with others, again, anything that you're doing in the community, that's really showing that human connection that's going to really pull people in and make them interested.
And you're really putting yourself out there as a resource. So you said human connection with photos. If you're brave or feeling a little tech edgy, do a video. I mean, make a 30-second clip of, or a minute, however long it takes, to change your windshield wiper, for example. I mean, that would be fantastic to see. I mean, if somebody who doesn't know how to do those things, you're being helpful, you're engaging, you're putting your employees out there. I would love to see that, actually.
It's a great idea for sure, because you're right. People do love
I
videos
just
as
thought of
well.
it. Yeah, I mean, if you're willing to teach and share with your customers, like, it's okay if it's not this fantastic video. Nobody needs that. Just a fun thing to be sharing and posting for engagement.
And that's exactly right too, Becca. I think especially it can happen with people who've been in business for a while, where back in the day, it used to be important to have really high production quality videos, and nowadays consumers are much more willing to forgive small things. We're used to watching videos shot straight from somebody's phone all the time, so don't overcomplicate it. Just a straight video shot from the phone could be an excellent video to include for sure.
Yes, it's relatable, and I think that's what people need, especially now. But on the flip side of things, so that's 80% of your content, so things that are going to be helpful to your customers. Now we're going to jump to the 20% side of things with promotional pieces. That could range from a friendly reminder to have your customers come in to get their AC checked, especially with summer coming. Now's the time before it's too late. Any oil changes, or possibly you have a service that you really specialize in, post about it. I mean, share with the people on Facebook what you're doing and tell them to come on in. This is your time to advertise in your own way.
Yeah, absolutely. Jump right in there and encourage them. And some of the things that I love to see done in this way, and we can be shy about doing it because we'll say, oh, we don't want to tell them how to do these things because then they won't need us. And what often happens is the opposite, because you might say, hey, here's your summer tune-up, checklist, and list 4 or 5 things that somebody could probably do if they're a little bit mechanically inclined. But what they're more likely to do is say, oh, you know what? That's a great idea, and why don't you do that for me? So they might be more likely to give you a call in those instances. So you don't be afraid to reference those things as well. And for those people who can do it themselves, they're probably going to appreciate that you reminded them that they should look at those things. So there you are providing value, but you're also doing some promotion as well. So there's lots of ways that you can do that. And one of, like you said, one of the good ways to do that, something like AC repair, clearly that is, or at least AC tune-up, anything like that, that is timely right now. And so referencing that, letting people think or helping people know when they should be thinking about those things, with how is your AC ready for the summer? If you're not sure, give us a call and let us check it out for you. So you're really, again, connecting with them in a way that it's not super salesy, but it also comes off as being very helpful, which I think is a good, genuine way to connect with people on social media.
Yeah, just as a reminder, and for promotions, like it doesn't always have to be like you said, salesy. It can just be a reminder or a check-in, and here's another good opportunity for you to post pictures of maybe like a really bad cabin filter versus a good cabin filter, showing the people, hey, this is what you should be looking out for, and this is something we can help you with.
Yeah, that's a great way to do it. Any visuals you can use are good, and that the example you used is a good one.
So the most effective way of being able to post the valuable or promotional things on Facebook. So this is my favorite part. So just bear with me here. This is where the fun and the creative side things come into play. So if you're rolling your eyes like, oh geez, how could this be fun? Trust me, it can be. And if it's not fun for you, I'm sure someone in your office would be just thrilled to be a part of this. Or I would love to help you too. Your big goal is to find valuable information. So for example, a fantastic article about, let's say, summer car care tips, like I referenced before. Pick those 3 to 5 key tips that best represent the article and shorten them down, maybe in your own words, or even take key snippets from the article and put them into a design. You can find resources online that can help you with templates of here's a header, here are the 3 main points, and here's some images that you can add. And all you have to do is upload them right to your Facebook as an image. And just like that, you have something that's engaging. You can change up the fonts, colors, photos. You can add your own videos like we mentioned. The list is pretty much endless in what you can do to really grab your attention of your customers. So always go ahead, Martin, go ahead.
I was going to say, and in case you all listening didn't notice or realize, Becca is the one for Repair Shop Websites who helps our customers with Facebook posting and also does Facebook posting for us at Repair Shop Websites. So she's really passionate and knowledgeable about these things. So she's offering some great advice there, and she does an excellent job when it comes to designing posts and getting engagement and all those things. So those are excellent tips from her for sure. And one of those things that we used to do a little bit more that we don't do anymore, Becca, and want to mention that is we used to more frequently post URL links in our Facebook posts, but we did stop doing that.
Yeah, Martin and I actually attended a conference that was called the Internet Summit, right in Raleigh, North Carolina, right in the area we are in, a few months ago. And we learned quite the interesting fact about sharing links via social media platforms. Martin, you can take that one though.
Yeah. Okay.
Lucky you.
Yeah. Here we go. So one of the things that we saw while we were at the conference, and it's been featured a few different places since then, certainly, is that Rand Fishkin, who founded Moz, which most of you don't really need to know. Let's just say he's an SEO expert and out there in digital media and all those things. And he did this extensive study just based on his personal Facebook page and things that he had shared, and the ones that seemed to get engagement and then the ones that didn't. And he looked at all the views of his posts. So he compared those posts where he had included a link off of Facebook, and then those posts where they didn't have a link off of Facebook. Oftentimes it was a photo or image, or maybe just some text, but more often there was like a photo and image there. And what he found is that those posts that had photos and images and no links off of Facebook got shown in the newsfeed much, much more and had more engagement, where Facebook really didn't even show, at least it didn't look like it from the data, those posts that he had posted that had links off of Facebook. So as you might expect, Facebook really wants to keep people that are on Facebook on Facebook. So when you're posting links that go off of Facebook, they don't have a lot of motivation to include those links in the news feeds of the people that you're trying to reach. So, they're not likely to do that as much. But when you're posting pictures and photos and things that drive engagement, they love that, because that's keeping people on Facebook more. That's keeping people posting. It's keeping them engaged. And their engagement with you is their engagement with Facebook. So they really like those types of things. So with that in mind, Becca, what does a good Facebook post look like?
First, I have to say, you can only imagine my jaw dropping when hearing this Rand Fishkin data, how the link that he posted didn't really show up. It was like mind-boggling to me. So we backed up. We said, okay, well then what can we do to have our valuable content stay on Facebook, to be shown for our customers and for our viewers? So since it's best to avoid sharing links for other articles outside of Facebook, you got to get creative in what you're sharing, and how you do it is really important. Backpacking off of what we talked about just briefly earlier with the creative side of things, we really focus on creating unique posts to share roughly 3 times a week. And that really helps kind of staying in front of the eyeballs of the customers on your Facebook. So a quote unquote good Facebook post would be something that doesn't have paragraphs and paragraphs of words. It's often short and sweet, and humor is always something great to incorporate, whether it's photos or even in the actual post that you're sharing, the copy of it, the words, does it make people laugh? Does it remind them of something? Is it relatable? The viewer should be able to just glance at your post while they're scrolling on their phone or on their desktop, and be able to just easily understand, like, that's what that post is about. They don't need to sit and analyze it like a dictionary or something. Big thing about your Facebook post is, of course, you want it to stand out from the rest of the things that you're seeing on Facebook. And it's not always 100% possible to do that all the time, and we totally understand that. But I encourage you to try new things. So whether that's sharing those funny memes that you see that people love, or celebrating national holidays, like the 4th of July, that's coming up. That would be a fantastic idea to start next month for you.
We have seen some, of course, through the posting and some of the posts that you've created, Becca. We've seen some, as you'd expect, some that have not quite got as much engagement as we may have liked, but there have definitely been some that have got some significant engagement. And what do those often look like, or what is the approach really to those posts that we've seen that get the best engagement?
Yeah, good question. So like you said, Martin, not all posts are gonna be perfect in how they are in with engagement and stuff, and that's okay. That's totally fine. That's normal. But those that we've seen great engagement with, we've asked like interesting auto-related trivia questions. Like I believe just the other week we asked one about something about the year of the Corvette or something. All I know is the answer is 1953. So if anybody knows that, that's the one we used. But anyways, sharing like shocking automotive industry facts, things about people who created the cruise control. Like, did you know that the person who created the cruise control, his name was Ralph Teeter, and he was blind, and like, wow, I never knew that. And those type of,
Wow, yeah.
yeah, those type of posts, like they went boom in reactions, because people were like, what, seriously? It engaged people, whether it's not, this crazy new invention or anything. It's something that people were interested in. Another post I do have to share about was, we recently had posted for our customers, what was your first car? And the shops would post it to their feeds, and people would react. They just went way back in time, like talking about all their old cars from high school, and then people would tag other people in the comments like, hey Donna, like you remember back in high school when we went to blah blah, like it just brought a whole bunch of,
That's
yeah,
great.
it brought a whole bunch of attention to the post. And I mean, I know it's not life or death here, people are commenting on Facebook, but hey, it's working, and that's what we like to see.
that's yeah, those are great examples. Definitely when it pulls people in and they're pulling others in, and you've really started this long
Chain.
string of comments. Yeah, it's a great chain of
And
comments that are pulling people in.
I was gonna say, I think whenever somebody can kind of put in their 2 cents on Facebook, I mean, a lot of people take that as an opportunity to post, and I think that's okay. Like, especially if it's all in fun, like that's great. Another piece that I have to share too, for an idea for your sake example, there are national days. So besides like the 4th of July and Christmas, there's fun days like National Pizza Day. And that is just a fantastic excuse to buy your employees a pizza for lunch and take the picture of them eating it. Share it on your Facebook. People love that. It'll light up your likes, I'm sure.
That's great, because you really hit on two things that we talked about too, Becca. One is getting engagement with people, and the other one is using images as well. So that's definitely a great one.
Yeah, so always just remember 80% value and 20% promotional. Just keep that in mind on a weekly basis as you're thinking of what you can post. And slip in those fun holiday posts here and there just to sprinkle in that lighthearted fun.
Are there other things, Becca, that you think end up making a good post and also help show what makes the shop special, what differentiates it a little bit, or makes that potential connection between people?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like we said, Facebook is a great place for posting pictures. With that being said, maybe your shop has a beautiful bay. Take the picture, share it. Really provide proof, kind of proof in the pudding. Like if you're going to sit here and say that you are the best transmission shop in town, like let's hear about it. Like let's hear about customer reviews. What are people saying about you? I mean, it's one thing if you say I'm an A+ student, but okay, let's see your tests. Or if you're working on a really sweet car that comes into your shop, take a picture. I mean, of course you might have to ask permission from the owner, and I always recommend that. But take a picture, be excited, share what you're working on. People really like to engage with what's going on right here and right now. So take a picture or share what's happening now. It'll bring out what makes you and your team so special to work with, as well as with your team. So, who makes up your team? The person who answers your phone every time somebody needs an appointment, or maybe the mechanics who are in the shop doing the everyday work of oil changes and transmissions, AC, so on. Maybe you even have like a pet mascot in the shop. I mean, it shows that you guys are all human, and people like to feel like they can relate to actually who they're bringing their car to, if that makes sense, Martin.
Yeah, and well, people love pets, so a pet
Yes,
mascot
they
in
do.
the shop, I think, is probably going to be a winner regardless. Dog, cat, fish, others. I don't know. You put
Anything.
some animals in there, put some pets. You're likely to attract some customers.
Yeah, and I have to go back to this too because I forgot to mention this, but with your team, I mean, hello, we all have birthdays. So if it's Brittany, the girl at your front desk who answers the phone, if it's her 30th birthday, get a cake, celebrate it, have fun with your team,
Yeah.
and document it. Just show your shop who you are, express who you are in the community, represent it well, no matter what you post. Always remember that.
Yeah, and since you referenced it too, Becca, I do want to mention one more time about community events and showing your activity in the community. I think especially, the buy local movement or buy local, shop local, do business with local businesses movement has been in place for a while now. So that's not necessarily new, but I think especially now as difficult as it's been over over the past 2 to 3 months for local businesses to even stay in business, and we don't know what that's going to look like over the next 6 to 12 months. It just feels like there's going to be a lot of people who want to give their business to local businesses, and a lot of times they're going to look for the local businesses that are participating in community events and really really sponsoring the community in the ways that they can. So, and anything that you can highlight from your participation in the community is going to be a big thing, I think.
It's going to be appreciated just with your reputation. And I don't mean to make it all about the shop. That's not what I'm implying, but anywhere where you can be a business helping another business, there is no wrong in that. It's all good to be just kind of another helping hand.
Absolutely. We always encourage our customers to post, to help us post as much as possible about their activity in the community as they can. And this is just another great example of a place where you can really highlight that.
Right. And today, I mean, we covered a lot, and I probably got overexcited about some of the fun, creative stuff. So if you ever have questions and things, like, I would love to talk to you or have a conversation about that. But today we really wanted to go beyond that base level foundation of, sure, I need a Facebook. Everybody tells me that. But we hit on the importance of the 80-20 with why to avoid sharing links so people stay on your Facebook, and simply kind of what kind of posts are best for your customers' news feeds. Social media is without a doubt extremely alive and active. So if you're looking for some guidance, let us help you. We would absolutely love to.
Thank you for listening to the Busy Bays podcast. If you want more information about this, please visit myrsw.com and go to our resource center. We plan on hosting a podcast each month, so subscribe so you don't miss out. Also, just have one last favor to ask of you. It would mean a lot to us if you would share this with your friends or another shop. Our goal is to help auto repair shops succeed, so you can help us achieve this goal by just telling someone else about the show. Thanks again. Have a great day.